Hi there, welcome to Season A, where the platform where we speak to the power. This is the breaking news. Apparently, Abacha loot. The court orders the federal government to account for $5 billion. Let's have a listen. It's from Arise News, but let's have a listen. What is your take on this? It's interesting. What does that mean? Is this a smokescreen? Is it a diversion? Is it real? Is it what will the president? What will Buhari do? And will President Tinubu compel him to comply with that law? Is the rule of law effective? This will let us know if rule of law is really effective in Nigeria or not. Let's have a listen.
A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered former President Olusegun Obasanjo, late Umaru Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and Muhammadu Buhari to give accounts of how they spent $5 billion Abacha loot.
So they have to. So Obasanjo, Buhari, and one other person has been told to account for how they spent $5 billion Abacha loot.
The court ordered the government of President Bola Tinubu to disclose the exact amount of money stolen.
Oh, so President Tinubu has been ordered to disclose the amount. Now, will they comply with that rule of law? That is the question to ask now. Let's carry on.
By General Sani Abacha from Nigeria, and the total amount of the Abacha loot recovered, and all agreements signed on same by the government of former President Obasanjo, Yar'Adua.
So they are all in it. So Obasanjo, Umaru Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, Muhammadu Buhari, they all have to account for this. This is interesting. Let's leave it on.
Jonathan and Buhari. Justice James Kolawole Omotosho delivered the judgment following a Freedom of Information suit brought by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap. The judge also ordered the federal government through the Ministry of Finance to furnish Serap with the full spending details of about $5 billion Abacha loot within 7 days of this judgment. Justice Omotosho ordered the government to disclose details of the projects executed with the Abacha loot, locations of any such projects, and the names of companies and contractors that carried or are carrying out the project since the return of democracy in 1999 till date. Meanwhile, lawyer Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, welcomed the judgment by Justice J.K. Omotosho of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, ordering the release of the details of spending of about $5 billion Abacha loot by the government of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and President Muhammadu Buhari. In a statement, Falana says the judgment could not have come at a more opportune time than now because of the economic hardship to which the poor people of Nigeria have been subjected by a reckless ruling class.
Indeed.
The question of public accountability is now on the front burner. According to him, having regards to the involvement...
Yes, public accountability. Now, this is where you fit in nicely, and this is a very good point that I want to raise here. You know what I'm about to do next. Many of you who follow me, you know what I'm about to do next. Sorry, that's not even what we're looking at. We're looking at this one here. Sorry, let me get that up and show you what I mean, of course. Many of you who follow Season A know what we do here. We always bring this information to you because we know that it is by sharing this information on a regular and consistent basis. It is only then that people will actually be able to do what is necessary to get the infrastructure that we need. And that is our collective active participation. So let me just show you what I mean. Here we go. So forget that one. Just take this one away. That's Amusha within. Now, what I'm trying to show you here is this. It's very good that they are saying that they should account, but we need to put pressure. We, the citizens, need to put pressure on the system, and we have the powers. Because why? Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. And we need to put that pressure by actively participating in our governance. How do you participate? says so, Section 14.2c. The participation by the people in the government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. Because the provisions of the Constitution is that we are the ultimate sovereigns. As citizens collectively, we are the sovereigns. And we can then use those powers to participate in our governance and say, right, we need you as a senator, governor, House of Reps, local government chairman. They are all answerable to us. But the key thing is we need to stand collectively together in each of our local government areas and begin to question our officials. And indeed, demand for things like fixing the refineries. But it requires our daily active participation in our governance, holding up to account, because the government is ultimately answerable to we, the sovereign citizens, to whom the government, the nation, to whom power belongs. The power belongs to the people. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. So we need to be actively participating in that process. Take a screenshot of what you see on the screen before you right now. Take a screenshot of it and use it to actually help us reach more people. I'm trying to see if I can make this smaller. Can I make it? Yeah, I can do that. I'm going to try and do something here. I'm going to just do something here. Okay, it's not going to work. But anyway, take a screenshot of the words here for Section 14.2 and 14.2c. We mustn't leave this. Serap has done a good job in bringing this ruling out. We should join in. We should be joining in demanding that for that in all 774 local government areas. This is what I propose. But let's carry on and listen on.
Government of the World Bank in the mismanagement of the Nigerian economy, the order of the court directing disclosure of the details of specific roles played by the bank and other partners in the execution of any project funded with Abacha loot since 1999 is very commendable.
Get peace of mind with your very sure alarm and drum.
Sorry about that. So take that away. We do not want that there. 1 second, please. Let me just... Okay, sorry about that. We fixed it, but let's carry on.
Rights lawyer Frank Tiete is joining us now to dissect this court judgment. Very warm welcome, Frank. This is your turf, the issue of corruption, poor leadership, and the rest, and even mentioning the World Bank, by senior advocate Femi Falana in the management of the $5 billion Abacha loot. Does not sound really good.
Well, this is interesting, and a very warm congratulations to Serap after a very long time.
Congrats to Serap.
Nigerians were getting weary, and
congrats indeed.
Times when Serap writes to United Nations over Magu, over as not obeying court orders. But you can see now that Serap is getting this kind of wonderful reprieve from a national court. So Serap should stop, bombarding the United Nations with. With requests that it will never grant and that are practically useless. Now, this dimension which Femi Falana SAN is giving makes it very interesting that the UN and some of its agencies are actually,
gloves in hands,
they collude sometimes with their sometimes inaction and then looking the other way when certain things happen. Much of the money stolen from Nigeria is actually hidden in the United Kingdom, for example.
Very good.
You don't see much of that happening. Now, this judgment, I must commend.
This is the problem. The fact there, a lot of the money looted is stored in the United Kingdom.
Serap greatly because it's going to open a floodgate of freedom of information requests to government agencies, because before now, just like listening to
very important point
one
here,
time, who described the attitude of the government as being is something that's inexplicable, that simply requesting for information from government information about money it received and money how it spent it. Government will be prepared to hire some of the best of lawyers in the land and pay them serious millions of naira so that they will not provide the information. What sort of thing is that? So it's scandalous that Serap will have to go to that extent of having to obtain a court judgment to compel a Nigerian government to simply provide an information. Please, we need to look at the background. The background is this. In 2016, our then President Muhammadu Buhari was in the United Kingdom. And but before then, the British Prime Minister David Cameron was addressing the Queen and described Nigeria as a fantastically corrupt country, and as preceding the anti-corruption conference to be held in the United Kingdom at that time. And again, but Justice Welby was quick to inform the Queen that this president at that time, in quote, is not corrupt. I'm talking about President Muhammadu Buhari. But Serap can attest to the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration gave it the greatest frustration when it comes to obedience to court orders, or responding to freedom of information requests concerning the monies, particularly the Abacha loot. Let me tell you, the culture of running government in our country is that of extreme secrecy. So you think that the secrecy, which is meant to be something that is operated to protect Nigeria from its enemies, but it has been turned around so that all operations of government are shrouded in one kind of mystical secrecy, and it's about trying to so that opacity and darkness regarding the finances of government are simply a means of trying to get money by government officials for themselves. So what this judgment has done is to let now, and the good thing is that we have a new sheriff in town, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and let's see what he's going to do. Is he going to now allow the Ministry of Justice now to proceed on an appeal against a simple request? Tell us the monies you received. Now, on the face of it, $5 billion. Tell us how you spent it. In fact, government is a continuum. You don't need to hold Obasanjo and the estate of President Yar'Adua or President Goodluck Jonathan. You don't need to hold them directly responsible. Simply provide the papers. And then we can tell whether the secrecy, the hidden truth that they have been putting under the cupboard will reveal whether some person stole money. Is that plain and simple?
Frank, the Justice Omotosho, gave very copious orders in that judgment. They want to know, the requests that Serap has made. Contractors who have handled
of course
what projects, the ongoing projects, and another great concern, like I mentioned, is the role of the World Bank in
exactly
the utilization of this money. Because at one time we were having the poor register or whatever it's called, where they distribute 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira from $5 billion.
The idea is the way government is run, but when officials of government want to steal money, is to actually not only hide information, but to actually create a way that you cannot even trace information. You trace the way funds are expended. Now, when I referred to the 2016 anti-corruption conference in London, after that, Nigeria signed to the Open Government Partnership, which creates an obligation for the Nigerian government to, at all times, operate an open government approach. That is, citizens are able at every time to demand that give us information about this or that. The brilliant and beautiful thing about this judgment is that provision in section 6 of the Constitution, which says certain things cannot be inquired to, has actually been reinterpreted. Meaning that because the judge, or Motosho was saying that if you apply section 1 of the Freedom of Information Act, means that any person, including Serap, which is a juristic person by our laws of incorporation, can actually demand for any information. And even when you say the information is that of some form of national security, you will still provide it. Just simply say, and if you don't want to provide it, give a reason why you don't want to provide it, and then tell the applicant that, okay, you can go to this place or you can take this procedure. But what he's saying is this. In this case, the Ministry of Finance, the Federal Ministry of Finance, did not even, afford a reason why they did not provide that simple information requested by Serap. Rather, it started rigmaroling and turning Serap around. Go to this place, and the usual thing they do, because you need to go to try and work with our kind of civil service. They will tell you all sort of things. They'll say, no, it appears to be one ministry. Oh, it's the Ministry of Justice. No, it is one agency agency, oh, come back tomorrow, go back like this. They will throw you, they will so throw you around. Now, imagine the number of years it has taken for Serap to obtain this judgment. Now, let us now, if you now imagine that Nigeria will sign up to an obligation to make information accessible to its citizens, and at the same time, officials of government will do everything possible, take extra budgeted funds to now go and fund the litigation to give reasons why they will not give a simple information. Corruption at its highest level.
Yeah. Shouldn't this information pervade the Auditor General's office too? Because it will be key in this matter.
You see, the good thing about it is that if you look at the very beautiful law, the Freedom of Information Act, it says any institution, any public institution, for that matter, whether it's the National Assembly, whether it's the Inspector General, the Office of the Inspector General of Police, whether it's the Nigerian Army or the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff, simply write a letter that I want to know how much you got from the Ministry of Finance this last year and how you expended it. Just give it to me as a citizen. It's a Nigerian law. And then if you, as a public institution, you don't want to give it, give a reason within 7 days to the applicant why you are not giving it, and it will be deemed that you have denied the information. Then the applicant will move on to another stage by asking the court to compel you, which Serap has done, to provide that information. And if you fail, it doesn't even end there. In compelling you, it will also punish you as an institution with the fine of 500,000 for failing to provide the information as requested. So it was a critical law in preparing Nigeria in the face of open government partnership, so that there will be transparency. Nevertheless, civil society organizations have been frustrated in all of many relevant freedom of information requests they have done. Therefore, I will continue to commend Serap that it has been steadfast and consistent despite all the frustrations and embarrassment. It has remained on course, and it has gotten this judgment. And with this, there is going to be a massive turnaround. Let me ask the question again. Which government, is it that of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that will now say it will not allow Serap to have this information
and go on appeal,
so that we can continue to cover the information regarding the Abacha loop? Why? Is it a bad thing? If the money has been stolen, ICPC should have known, should Serap ask first before ICPC realizes that something fishy has been going on?
Why is the Office of the Auditor General not coming out with an audited account of the $5 billion? I think that's another question.
The question is, the point is that, was it even told that he received $5 billion? You are playing with the level of opacity, secrecy, and darkness concerning government finances. And only the civil society organizations like Serap have the courage to constantly.
This is what we can do in your community. You possess that power, and I keep reminding you. I agree with everything they said, but the one area is they are not involving we, the sovereigns, and I want us to know that we are sovereigns with power that we must begin to use. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. That makes you a sovereign in your local community area. When you come together as sovereigns, you now hold those you elect to office to account. Through Section 14(2)(c), the participation by the people in the government shall be in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. The provision centrally being you're a sovereign, and you can participate in your governance on the basis of that. And how you participate is begin to hold your governance to account. This information that Serap has got now, we can be on that. We can demand that 5 billion be explained to us, a breakdown. And then they need to tell us who knew what, when, and all that. And also be able to ensure we would, by participating, we will demand that those who are involved will face the crimes that they're supposed to face, as for those crimes, because and getting the money back, repatriate back to fix our infrastructure. We need active daily participation in our governance. It's pure and simple. Let's listen on.
approach them. It doesn't matter how much repression the former president, the government of former President Buhari did to them, but they constantly withstood. And here we are. We are on the march for progress. And we hope that it is not only when this information are provided, we hope they are going to be provided in the first place, even though I very much doubt, because it will constitute an earthquake. It will be cataclysmic if these information are actually provided. People will go to jail, and if
exactly.
the government does have.
But this is where you come in. This is where we have a brilliant opportunity to begin to actively participate in our governance. The churches and the mosque, I'm sorry to say, they're there to blind you. And I'm here, and many others like me, we're here to empower you, to awaken you, to know the power you possess. Those in government cannot run the government without your collectively handing over power to them through the Constitution. But that power you equally have access to when you collectively demand for questions, for answers on things that has gone wrong, such as this $5 billion Abacha loot. And you can demand for them to account for it and to take action against those that were found to be involved in corruption. And that is what we need to do as a community, collectively coming together on a regular basis to begin to question our governance. The refinery, all refineries, the billions, 8 trillion naira a year funds going missing, and nobody said anything. Without us actively participating, nothing will change. So it requires our collective active participation. Let's carry on. Here we go.
The will, because we see FCC having that gusto in pursuing only Yahoo boys, whereas the more dangerous people, killing people, destroying the future of Nigerians in the federal secretariat, they are left alone. They are there constantly hiding in secret, stealing billions of naira, but nothing happens to them. So we hope that this new sheriff in town will give a proper order, or else we'll just be joking, and the whole world is looking at us, and then the countries of the world, particularly the United Kingdom, who are actually paying lip service in supporting this country against the fight against illicit financial flows and general corruption.
Thank you so very much, Frank Tete, a rights analyst and a human rights lawyer.
So, that's a big bombshell. So kudos to Serap. Serap has done a fantastic job in winning that court. So Serap took the case to court, and Serap decided that, and the court judgment was that they ordered the federal government to account for $5 billion, and it's starting from the Obasanjo government to Yar'Adua one, to Goodluck, and to Buhari. They are all. This is what we need. This is the kind of thing we need to do. But don't stand by. Don't be a bystander. Become an active participant in your governance. Without your active participation, you will not get the infrastructure in your local community. You must become active participants in our governance. So let's watch what's going on. Let's be ready to join this struggle and this action, and question our governance. And let's make sure that we begin to put pressure on them to account for where the monies have gone. No excuses. They mustn't be hiding. They need to expose this, and those who have been found to be involved must be jailed. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, let's hear from you. Subscribe to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Subscribe, hit the notification button, give us a thumbs up, help us reach more people. What are your thoughts on this? Please, this is a very good thing, good news, but above all, before I go, I cannot overemphasize how important it is for all of us to begin to have a screenshot of section 14.2a and 14.2c. 14.2a. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. 1. 14.2c. The participation by the people in the government shall be in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. These are powerful statements within our constitution that we can use right now to begin to hold those we elected to office into office to account. And I do hope you will join us in this struggle. You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Let's continue to empower ourselves in all 774 local government areas. We are still going for self-determination, don't get me wrong, but we need you to first be part of the system, to understand what the system is, where the fault lines are. That way, when we now say we go for self-determination, everybody knows why we are going for it. Right now, when we tell you, you don't understand because you don't know the powers you possess or the crimes that the enormous corruption that's been carried out by successive government, as exemplified by this issue about the $5 billion Abacha loot. Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to Citizen AY. hit the notification button, and of course, give us a thumbs up. You're watching Tuesday Wire, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll back later on. Thank you, and thank you for now, and bye. Please do share. Bye for now.